Good evening. Say hi and make yourself known. And let me know where you're watching from. Are you on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter? Good evening, everybody. Say hi in the comments so I know who's watching. We've got 3 people from the Dreamers Together Inc. page and 1 from YouTube. Let's see if I can make sure I share it to the group so that people know we are live. Oh, there I am. And share to more options. The group together. All right. Vanessa, how's it going? I just shared the live to the group because when I go on, it starts on the page, not in the group. So hopefully now more people will join. Now we have 12. There we go. How are you guys doing? Say hi in the comments so I know who's watching. How are you today? What did you do? Is it cold where you live? It's very cold in Atlanta. And this week is supposed to get even colder. Not Connecticut cold, but pretty cold. Do a lot of us live in the South? Hello, anybody who just joined. Say hi so I know who's watching. I'm going to wait a minute or two before I start talking about my latest AP experience. I've actually had 2. I can't remember if I talked after the one before my last trip. If I did a live after that, I can't remember. Pedro, hola, hola, ¿qué tal? I try to do these as often as possible. As you guys know, at the end of the year, it gets pretty busy for all of us. I thought I was going to be breezing through with work, but things have gotten really busy this week. Hey, Natalie, how's it going? For those of you who don't know, I have a big crush on Natalie, or Nathalie. Her responses, guys, watch out for her responses on questions. I mean, they are just so pleasing to read. She's got a lot to teach all of us. Pedro, I'm going back home tomorrow morning. Here's my Spanish, guys. Tengo miedo que oficial me vaya a preguntar mucho de que por qué nada más me quedé 2 días y ya lo he comentado antes esto, pero pues quiero sacarlo de mi pecho una vez más. Pedro, it doesn't matter. Some people go and come back the same day. I don't know what you applied for, but if you are like most of us who applied to see a sick relative, that's enough. They're not going to care how long you stayed. If they do ask, it's just to make sure that your story matches as far as like what they see on the computer, right? Because when you fly, you'll when you exit the country, that's recorded electronically, so they know when you left and they know when you're coming back. So when they ask, it's just to make sure that the information they see on the computer matches what you're telling them. That's all. You don't have to worry about the length. I applied for humanitarian. I got multiple entries. I applied to see my brother in Brazil and my sister in Spain. And the last two times I traveled to Europe, I only stayed 2 days. And that's a much longer way than going to, I don't know if you're going to Mexico. I'm assuming it's Mexico because most of us here are from Mexico. Uh, but going to Mexico is a much shorter trip, right? So if that mattered, I would have had a problem. You're driving back. Oh, yeah, that's fine. What port of entry are you using, Pedro? I'm just asking because we've seen some unpleasant experiences through Nogales, Arizona. So if you can avoid that port of entry, please do. Hey guys, so it's 8:05. I'm going to start talking about my latest AP experience. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to give you a little background story very quick. I'm always talking about my story in this group. People are probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but it's very important for me to repeat it because before I traveled on AP, I searched groups, searched Reddit, uh, everything you can think of to find people with the same story who were able to travel successfully, and I wasn't able to find them, which is why it took me so long to make the decision to go. I came here when I was 14 in 2005. My family was apprehended at the border, myself included. We were given notices to appear in court. 6 months later, we never showed, and the judge issued us removal orders in absentia. So I currently have an outstanding removal order. I still traveled on AP for the first time last year, 2021, in June to see, or for humanitarian reasons. My mother passed away. I was away for 5 weeks, came back through Atlanta successfully, no questions asked about my removal order. The questions were surrounding the purpose of my trip, how long I stayed, if I was bringing anything, absolutely nothing regarding the removal order. So after that, I was approved for a multiple entry document about a month or two later. And I traveled to Europe, visited my sister. From there, I went to Brazil, came back. Then the second time, I think I went to Brazil only. Third time, I just went to Mexico. I had listed Mexico. Um, so I just went there. Fourth time, I went back to Europe for a week. So at that point, I had traveled like 4 times. 4 times. Then I got approved for the third AP, which is what I have right now. Unfortunately, that one was only granted for 4.5 months, but it's still multiple entries. I was approved on October 25th, got the document beginning of November, and I traveled to Brazil right after that for a couple of days to take care of some business and to visit my brother, like what I said I would do. Came back. The following week, I went to Europe, to London for 2 days. Came back, and the following week, I went to Rome, Italy for 2 days as well. So I've already traveled 3 times on this latest AP, and I've had it for definitely less than 2 months, probably like a month and a half. My next trip is scheduled for January 14th to Brazil. to visit my brother. I'm going to take my family on a little nice vacation, and I'll be there for about a week. After that, most likely I'll travel again because I want to take advantage of this document before it expires. I am thinking about applying again sometime next month, probably, or even the end of this month. I'm still thinking about it. So that when this document expires on March 6th, uh, hopefully by April or May, I have another one so that I can keep traveling. I also am going through the adjustment of status process, but with my removal order, it's a lot more complex than most of your cases, right? My I-130 was just approved 2 days ago, so I'm super happy about that. And my hope is that that will make it easier for me to finally get rid of that removal order and get my green card. I am so much closer than I was a couple of months ago, definitely a year ago, or a little over a year ago before I did AP. My hopes were pretty much non-existent without a legal entry and with an outstanding removal order. Now, in just such a short period of time, it's like the whole world has opened up to me, all thanks to AP. So this is why I talk about this so much, you guys, because having that legal entry is critical in your journey. Even if you don't have a relative now who can sponsor you, getting that legal entry now guarantees that when that time comes, when maybe you're single and you find a spouse who is a citizen and they can petition for you, that will eliminate so much hassle and years off your process. Because when you have to go through consular, there's several steps. First, you have to do the I-130, right? When that gets approved, then you have to do the waiver of unlawful presence. That takes a while. But when that's approved, then you have to wait for the interview in your country of origin. And then you have to take the risk of leaving the US without any protection to go to the interview and risk being denied there. If you are denied there, things get a lot more complicated. Then you can be banned for 5, 10, or even years, or even banned permanently from the US. And we don't want anybody to go through that. So if you have DACA, AP is an option. There's no reason why anybody with DACA should be doing consular. And there's still a lot of people out there who don't know about DACA or who don't know about AP. And a lot of people who know about AP still think it's only for life or death situations, which is not true. My friend, even I, the reasons, first time I applied, yes, it was a death situation. My mother passed away. So that was a clear cut process. Obviously, it was urgent. Second time and third time, it was nothing urgent. My brother is special needs. He has a neurological condition that he was born with, and it's incurable. It's nothing life threatening. So, absolutely not a life or death situation. The sister that I added, she barely has any health problems. She has some mild anxiety. That's the only thing she has. I have a friend in the exact same situation as me, as far as the removal order, and I encouraged her to apply. She didn't really have any reasons. She had her dad in Brazil go to the doctor, get a checkup, and it came back with a few very minor issues. I want to say, blood pressure was slightly elevated, something super simple. And that's what we sent for her. And she was approved for, I believe, 60 or 90 days, one entry. She traveled really, really scared, but she was able to come back just fine with a removal order as well. So that's why I talk about my story. because somebody just the other day answered Vanessa's post. She'll post sometimes. Tell me what's preventing you from applying for AP besides money. And somebody answered, I have a removal order. So that person hasn't seen my story. And I replied to her comment. And even though I couldn't see their face, I can imagine like their face lighting up when they read my comment saying, I've traveled 7 times, still with an outstanding removal order, no issues whatsoever. I have never been questioned about my removal order. The only thing they asked me is, where are you coming from? Why did you travel? How long were you gone? That's it. Ana Morales, I'm leaving tomorrow to visit my mom. I hope you enjoy it so much, Anna. I'm so happy that you get to do this and you get to enjoy your mom. Unfortunately, I was not able to enjoy my mom. 10 years passed. I was too scared to go. And out of nowhere, this pandemic started, COVID hit, and she was one of the victims. That's another reason why I encourage you guys. Just because your family members are healthy, that does not mean they're going to be here forever. We never know what's going to happen. Take this chance and go. Pedro Villanueva. When I was like 7 or 8 years old, my family and I got caught. So I don't know if the officer is going to ask me, have you been deported before? Okay, you got caught. Where, when, what happened? You ask, if they ask you that, you say the truth. You tell them the story. They're not going to ask though, because they have everything. When you apply for AP, they've run your background check and they're okay with your background check. Unless something happens after your approval, 9 times out of 10, you're okay. If you have something on your record related to drugs or alcohol, I cannot comment on that. I would highly suggest you to seek an attorney to make sure you're fine. I always recommend Charles Cook because he's very knowledgeable and he's one of the very few attorneys I trust. But if this is all that happened that you're telling me about, even if you have been deported in the past, you're still able to travel with AP. As long as you qualify for DACA, as long as you never lied to get DACA, you're fine. Can I request a combo card if I have DACA and have applied for a U visa? I cannot answer questions regarding a U visa. I'm sorry. I don't have enough knowledge. I want to say don't know, but my answer means nothing because I am not knowledgeable at all on U visas. I'm sorry. Jay Patel, has there been an issue going to your home country and the immigration there has questioned about why you left, how you left? My country has nothing to do with it. I'm a citizen there. They cannot deny me entry. Like, there is no reason for them to question me. So, no, that's never happened. I've traveled several times to other countries that are not my country. And the questions are, where are you coming from? When you say US, they ask, do you have a green card? I say no, but I have a work permit. And then I show the work permit. And that's usually where it ends. I show the work permit. Most of the time, they don't even see where it says not valid for reentry. So I give them my work permit and I said, and this is the document that allows me to travel. I have never had anybody look at that document at the AP. They only quickly glance at the work permit and give it back to me, and that's all. In London, it was the place where I was questioned the most, but it has nothing to do with AP or DACA. I was expecting that because there's a lot of Brazilian immigrants who live there illegally. I'm Brazilian, so I've always heard that the UK is tough on Brazilians as far as the questioning when you go there. So I was prepared for it. It wasn't bad. They were very nice, but there were definitely a lot of questions. Where are you coming from? And then I said, US. Next question, do you have a green card? No, but I have a work permit. So I gave a work permit, and the AP, he just gave me the envelope back for the AP, looked at the work permit, gave it back to me. Where are you staying? I did not have a hotel reserved because I literally decided to go the day before with a friend from this group who travels for work. She invited me to go, and I was going to stay with her for one night. So that's where I was going to go. I told him that my friend is arriving in like the next hour, and I'm going to stay with her the first night. The second night, I'm staying by myself, but I don't have that reservation yet. I said that very calmly. Everything was true. There was nothing to fear. That's another thing, guys. You're not doing anything wrong. I was there to visit. I had no intention of staying to work, none of that. So there was nothing to fear. And he asked, what do you do? I said, I'm an insurance underwriter. And it was, I mean, it was weird, right? He was a little suspicious because who goes to Europe like on a whim the day before for 2 days and you don't even have a hotel reservation? So before he kept asking me questions, I just told him my husband works for Delta, and I can travel on a whim because I travel for free. So that's why I'm here with no plans. It just happened. So he was like, okay. So he understood. And at the end, he was like, "Oh, you have a good life." I said, "Yes, I have a great life." And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know nothing about the struggles of this undocumented life, but you don't have to know. And he just stamped my passport and let me go. That was all. I've been to Mexico a couple of times. Mexico is not my native country, and Brazilians need a visa for Mexico. So one of the times that I went, I had a visa, but they didn't see the visa at first. So they started giving me a hard time. They were like, first of all, they didn't ask me for a Mexican visa. If you have a US visa, then you don't need a visa for Mexico. This is for Brazilians. I don't know about other nationalities. So he asked me, do you have a green card? I said, no, but I have advanced parole. So I showed him the AP. He read through it. He was like, okay, but this doesn't work. Do you have a visa? I said, no, I have just the work permit. He said, no, but this doesn't let you travel. And then I finally showed him the visa on my passport because I didn't know that's what he was looking for. And he was like, oh, okay. So they started wanting to deport me from Mexico, guys. Let's see. Myrna. I received an RFE and ended up not sending anything because of lack of help from my attorney. Seriously, I'm not saying that at you, but at your attorney. That's ridiculous. If I apply for AP again, would that have any negative effect? No, it would just start all over. But Myrna, you have so much time. Why didn't you seek help from someone else? What was the RFE for? First of all, what did you apply for and what were they asking? Guys, when you get an RFE, at least this is my experience. I've gotten an RFE 2 times. They give you a lot of time to respond. It's like at least a couple months. So you have time to gather that evidence. Most of the time, it's something really simple. Both of my times, it was because the dates I requested had already passed. So I needed to send new dates and evidence that I still needed to travel. In my case, my evidence was just a statement saying, yes, I need to travel because this is still going on. I didn't really send, another doctor's letter or anything like that. So it's pretty simple. So Myrna, let us know what you applied for and what the RFE was for. Lizeth, if I apply for AP and I'm waiting for approval and my DACA expires on March 16th, but I already renewed my DACA a week ago, haven't gotten anything yet. In case I get approved for AP, Is it safe for me to travel with almost expired DACA but still in process of renewing the DACA? First of all, if you're really close, if your DACA is really close to expiring, one of two things are going to happen. If they approve you, it's going to be for a very limited amount of time. You are never going to get approved for longer than what your current DACA is valid for. So they're either going to give you just a little bit of time. If you have 15 days left on your DACA, they're probably going to approve you for 15 days, or you will get an RFE um, with them asking for proof that you renewed your DACA already. One of two things. So it's always smart to time your AP with your expiration date, right? My my DACA expires in December of 2023. So I'm trying to apply again like by January and see if this time I can get up to December. If I apply January, I'll probably be approved May. It's really doable, right? Get approved for like 7 months. Um, so that's what I'm trying to do. Would I apply for AP in October if my DACA expires in December? Probably not. I'd probably try to renew my DACA first. Natalie, ¿cuándo visita Chile? Natalie, I wish they had given me more time because even though I work from home, it's still not as easy to work remotely as you would think. And I also have two dogs now, one of which is a puppy. So I have to find people to take care of them when I travel. So maybe I'll go by myself. My husband can't go, but it would be like a really quick trip, like a weekend trip. And going to Chile is a 10-hour flight. So it would be Friday overnight and then come back Sunday overnight. So it would be really tiring. So I don't know if I'll be able to go this time, but who knows? Maybe I will. I still have to go to Brazil. I really want to go back to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I'm trying to go back to Europe in February, and February is the last month I'm traveling. My AP expires on March 6th, so I do not want to risk traveling in March. That's cutting it way too close. So I just don't have the time, unfortunately. And obviously, even though I'm flying for free, you still need money for hotels and all that. That really adds up, guys. Some places are really cheap, but when you're traveling as often as I'm trying to travel, even if it's cheap, it adds up. But I want to talk a little bit about my trip to Rome. I was only there for 2 days. I could have stayed longer, but I didn't want to risk it because I don't know what the flight was going to look like coming back as far as like how many seats were going to be available. But so we made a mistake when we got there. It's always an overnight, 9 times out of 10. It's a red eye going to Europe, and I have trouble sleeping on planes, so it's always very tiring for me to fly. And it's 9 hours and 30 minutes from Atlanta to Rome. So I got there really tired. The smart thing to do is just to stay up and enjoy that day and then go to bed when it's time to go to bed there, so that the next day you're like refreshed and you're already used to the time and you're not so jet lagged. But I didn't do that. I got there and I went to sleep. So that first day was just wasted. Second day, and the only day we had to see things, was when we saw things and we were still really tired. And then the third day was when we came back, and that flight is during the day. It leaves pretty early. So I definitely have to go back with at least 4 to 5 days to see more. It's such an amazing city as far as history goes. It's over 2,500 years old. It's like walking back in time, and you see these huge sites that were discovered underground with artifacts. and like whole cities buried under the current city of Rome. It's really interesting. But going back to answering questions, how do you get approved for multiple countries? You just list them. In my case, I have family in several countries. Okay, I only talked about my brother and my sister, Brazil and Spain, but I also have a niece in the UK. I have cousins in the UK. Uh, I know people that are not family in Belgium, you know? So that's what I use, my brother and my sister. In Europe, in the Schengen zone, 26 countries, Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, France, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, Hungary, Greece, a bunch of others I'm not remembering. You can travel between those countries. There's no passport control. So it's like traveling domestically. So I listed Spain. It doesn't matter. I can travel all over there. In Europe, in the European Union, I've traveled to Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy this last time, right? And I also traveled to the UK because I also listed the UK. I said my sister may be in the UK visiting her daughter when I go, so I wanted the chance to go there if that's where she is. So that's how I listed the UK. I didn't include any evidence of me having relatives in the UK. I just listed the UK and I said my sister may be there when I'm able to visit her. And I listed a bunch of other countries as possible connections as well. It's important to remember, guys, the document is for you to return to the US. It doesn't specify where you can go. Now, this is not to say that you can go wherever, you still need a reason, but I don't want you all to be so focused on, oh, the country I listed, and I can't even have a layover somewhere else if it wasn't listed in the application, because that's total nonsense. Jay Patel. Can I list layover countries as countries to visit? You can. And what would I use for evidence to prove that? You don't need any evidence. I didn't. I listed Ethiopia as a country of possible layover, which is totally possible because there's an airline called Ethiopian Airlines. If I travel from Europe to Brazil on Ethiopian Airlines, it would have a layover in Ethiopia, and I could be there for up to 2 days. So I listed that as a reason, right? That's all you do. And if you have, let's say you apply for humanitarian, but there's a conference in Japan that you're interested in attending, you don't have to include the evidence for the conference. Include the humanitarian reason, and in your affidavit just say there's a conference I'm thinking about attending, but there's nothing certain right now, but I would like the flexibility to go there if I decide to, or something along those lines. And that would just give you an excuse to list Japan as well, So it's really that simple. The reason they ask you the countries you intend to visit is not so much to track where you're going. It's just to, how would I explain this? It's just so they know, to make sure it makes sense. What you're applying for makes sense. That's all. They're not going to be like, oh, you applied to go to Mexico, but your flight is coming from Colombia or from Honduras. They don't care. When you come, they're going to ask where you're coming from and why did you go. They're not going to go back to your application and check the reason you told them, guys. First of all, because if they did, I would have been in trouble. Guess why? I went to Italy this last time. I never listed Italy on my application. But like I said, it's Europe and the Schengen zone. It's very common to have layovers in other countries there. And even if it's not a layover. They said, where are you coming from? Rome. Why did you go? I said, I went to meet up with my sister who lives in Spain. That's all it was. No more questions. I never listed Italy. So that tells you something. Nick Munoz. Can I go to Europe to get my dental work done there? I'm from Mexico. Please guide me, Hugo. You can go anywhere to get your dental work done. However, the cost in Europe is going to be probably even more than the cost in the US. So there probably needs to be another reason. Let's say the dental work you're trying to do is very complex and it involves, a possible very serious complications. Sorry. And you found this doctor in Paris who's the world's best in their field, and that's why you want to go. Something along those lines. So cost is definitely not going to be the reason why you're applying, because if it is, you're not going to get approved. It's going to be better when he has some seniority, Natalie, because right now it's a little bit tough because your name shows up on the standby list by seniority. And since he just started, our name is usually at the bottom of the list. So unless the flight it looks really good, you probably won't get on. But it's definitely nice, right? We were supposed to go to Brazil and that flight was full. And I was like, we already got the PTO approved. We already have people taking care of the dogs. So what flight looks good? Rome, Italy looked pretty empty. I'm like, that's where we're going. Who does that, right? This is my life right now. And it is not bad at all. Nick, you are welcome. But, okay, Stephanie. My aunt passed away May of 2020 from cancer. Can I still apply for AP? I'm sorry about your aunt. It has been more than 2 years. I would add something else because this is no longer considered recent. So usually when you're applying to see a grave, it has to be recent. Otherwise, you're going to get a request for evidence. And usually you'll have to add maybe a ceremony they're having in her honor, and that's why you need to go. But honestly, it's much easier to try to find another relative. I don't know if you still have grandparents that are alive, even if they have very mild health problems, could be high blood pressure. Definitely diabetes is no, it is a chronic condition. Vision problems, anything. You can use them because that would be much easier than using your aunt who passed away more than 2 years ago. Because, first of all, your aunt is not your immediate relative. Your grandparents, technically not your immediate relatives, but definitely a lot more immediate than your aunt. So dig a little deeper. If you really don't have anything else, try to apply for something like dental work or fertility treatment. I don't know. If you dig deep enough, we all have reasons to apply. Maria Herrera. If we use a humanitarian reason for Mexico for my husband, can we list Costa Rica if we want to go visit my side of the family? And what do we include in the application? Yeah, absolutely, you can. Do you have any? First of all, my personal opinion, other moderators or other people in the group may disagree with me. I don't think you need to add any evidence for Costa Rica. You need to add whatever the strongest evidence is. If the strongest evidence you have is for your family, add your family. If the strongest evidence you have is for your husband's family, add your husband's family. And then just add the other country, the second country, as a secondary country. And you can just add a sentence in your affidavit. Oh, I would also like to travel to Costa Rica to visit my family while on this trip. Something along those lines. But they don't care that you have a reason, like documented reason for each trip. They really don't. If they did, I would not be getting approved for layovers in 15 countries because that's a little extreme, right? I like to add everything I can, but if they really were focused on having a reason for every country, like I probably wouldn't get approved for that. So no, you need one reason and stick to that strongest reason and make your application as short as possible and to the point, right? Because the more reasons you add, the more evidence, the more convoluted it becomes. And then when you're trying to get maybe multiple entries, they get, so the person reviewing your application may be so annoyed by the volume of it that they'll just approve you for 30 days and one entry. So that's the last thing you want. Just be concise to the point using a strong reason. What's just one? Hey, Dee, how's it going? You are late, girl. It is 8:40. I've been talking for 40 minutes, and I just realized that I was only supposed to talk for 30. Maria, I understand. Yeah, but stick to that one reason, girl. Don't overdo it. I've overdone it in the past, Uh, thankfully it worked. This time, I think I overdid it and it did not go in my favor. I don't know if that was the reason, right? I only got 4.5 months. I think if I had stuck to another reason and not so many things, I probably would have gotten more time. I think, Am I ever going to know for sure? Absolutely not. I don't know what was going on in that officer's head who approved me that day. But, if I put myself in his shoes, I sent unsolicited evidence just to add more countries. There was actually a reason, right? I wanted to do volunteer work in other countries that I hadn't listed before. So I added unsolicited evidence. They did not even review that, I am sure, because if they had, I would have got more time. So I'm thinking maybe I should have just used those volunteer opportunities as my main reason, and that would have given me a year, possibly. But who knows? I'll try again. Maybe we'll test our hypothesis. Yeah, Didi, you need to come on sometime and talk to us. Didi got 2 AP approved, 2 times in the month of November, and she's filling out another one this week. She's applying for humanitarian reasons. I'm not gonna talk more because obviously, it's her story to tell. But have any of you here traveled to more than one country on AP? Let me know in the comments. Or would you like to? What countries would you like to go see or visit? I want to see every country on earth, but you've got to prioritize. I would really love to go to Asia, Japan, Thailand, China, Vietnam, all of that. And I'd love to have a work reason to go. Maybe one day I'll persuade my company to send me there for a visit, because I do work with companies who are based in Japan, in China. So, that's really not that out of the question for me to just go visit them. That would be a reason. And that would be really fun. Yes, I need to, but let me travel as many times as you, then I go live. You don't need to travel as many times as me, girl, because I am in a competition. You are never going to catch up. I'm trying to catch up to other people. We've got people in this group that have traveled like 20 times. I'm not even exaggerating. I think there's one girl who has traveled probably 30 times at this point. Hey, Maddie, how's it going? How long did it take you to get approved? First time I did InfoPass, so that was same day. Second time it took 8.5 months. Third time it took 4 months. Right now I kind of lost track of how long it's taking. I'm assuming it's taking still between 3.5 and 4.5 months. So definitely not as long as it used to take. It used to take 6+ months. Somebody had asked about a combo card on a U visa, and I said I had no idea because I don't have much knowledge of the U visa process, and just wanted to post Natalie's response up here. She is a lot more knowledgeable than I am. What I remind you guys is this group is focused on AP for DACA. We do have people who know about other processes, but when you ask a question in the group, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be answers based on our experience with DACA, not other processes. So definitely make sure you specify what process you're on. If you ask, oh, can I travel on AP with this? Specify if you have DACA or if you have a U visa, if you have VAWA, make sure that you're clear. But take our answers with a grain of salt, like I said, because our experience here is with DACA. Thanks for your answer. My husband and I wanted to travel together, but he has TPS and the wait times are different, so it's a challenge. Yeah, I'm not. Wait times are different. However, with TPS, as far as I'm aware, you don't need a reason to travel. So that's a big, huge plus there. So his process would be much easier than yours. Marna, yes. We say dental treatment because that's the easiest thing as far as number of people who need it. Like a lot of people, most of us can get some dental work done, right? We need some dental work, but it's medical treatment, whatever it is that you need. Yes, you can apply for it. LASIK, most likely even better than dental treatment, because here it probably costs a couple thousand. If you're going to Mexico, I'm assuming maybe a couple hundred, you know, probably less than 1,000. So definitely, yeah, it doesn't have to be. We say dental treatment all the time because that's what people usually apply for, and that's what we've seen. But it doesn't have to be dental treatment, guys. We've got people who are approved for fertility treatment, right? If you need any type of surgery, you can apply for that. Um, Other types of medical treatment, it doesn't matter what it is, you can apply for it. Maria, my friend just got approved with TPS and it took 3 months. Hope that helps. I know everyone is different. Yeah, that does help. Unfortunately for us, things take a little longer. That does sound about right. Vanessa, I think she meant to say something, but she probably fell asleep or something. I don't know. Cynthia, if I apply to Mexico, but during my trip I go to Central America but enter the US through Mexico, is that possible, or do I have to list Central America in the application? Cynthia, like I said, here's where my opinion changes from that of most of the group. And by no means am I encouraging you to like just go explore the world with your one entry AP. That is not what I'm saying. But you are not self-deporting by going to a country that you didn't list. First of all, guys, I'm sorry we hear that a lot in the group, and I may get called out for saying this right now, but that is simply not true. Nowhere in the application and nowhere in the instructions, nowhere on the document does it say that you're self-deporting if you go to a country that you didn't list. The issue is for DACA, you need to have a reason, right, to apply for AP. So if you apply to go see your grandmother, but you end up going to Japan instead on vacation, and you come back, especially if it's an emergency document, that's going to be really suspicious. That can give you problems because they may assume that you completely lied on your application and you just made up something that didn't even exist. That's the issue. Now, if you apply to go to Mexico and let's say your family member moves to Honduras after you get approved or something after you send your application, myself, I see no problem in you going to Honduras. If you come back, you can tell them that. I'm not encouraging you to just like go on a tangent and go everywhere and make up excuses to travel. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you are not self-deporting by going to a country you did not list. However, it's still up to the officer to let you in when you come back. Will they deny you entry because you also went to Honduras when you only listed Mexico? I would be absolutely shocked if that happened. Very shocked. It's never happened up to this point. I would be very shocked. So you take that as you may, but no, you're not self-deporting. And if you go to Central America, and there's no point in going back to Mexico, just come back from wherever you go, or go there first and then go to Mexico and then come here. They'll still see stamps. If they cared, they will still see the stamps, right? As long as you have an explanation and you're comfortable with that explanation, that's up to you. It's not up to me to tell you that you can or cannot. What I can tell you is the application or the documents for you to travel back to the US. It doesn't specify where you can go. And that's where I'll leave it. We're going on 5 months. Thanks, Maria. We're going on 5 months, so hopefully soon. We wanted to go together, but for now we'll focus on him getting his legal entry. That's a good plan. Marna, last question. Can I use my son, a minor, the one needing the braces, as my reason for my AP? Thank you for being so helpful. Absolutely. Yes, you can. If he's a minor, he needs somebody to accompany him, and that would be a good reason in my eyes. Again, guys, there is nothing that you can't use. The only thing you cannot use as a reason that's pretty black and white, clear cut, is vacation. You cannot apply for AP to go on vacation, and that's spelled out in the instructions. But anything else you can make a case for, or you can try to make a case for. Deborah, yes, guys, yes. Me, 7 times with a deportation order. I've traveled 7 times. I am not the only one. I am not, the black sheep or the white sheep, or the purple sheep. Many have done this. Everybody's been able to come back. And I'm not talking just about this group. I'm talking about everybody with DACA. No one has ever been denied entry, even with a removal order. We have a group where we're trying to sue USCIS and ICE to reopen our removal cases. We have over 30 people in that group. All 30 of us currently have final removal orders. All of us have traveled and come back successfully. Nobody has ever been questioned about their removal order. Yes, you can travel, Devorah. Please do it. You don't have to wait for your removal order to be terminated, because first of all, that's not even guaranteed. It's up to the judge. Sometimes the judge will not even answer, or sometimes they'll deny you. So what are you going to do? Are you not going to travel if that happens? No, you travel first, right? Because that makes your case stronger when you try to reopen your removal order. When you try to terminate that, it makes your case stronger because you have a legal entry. Hopefully by that time, you also have a sponsor. And hopefully by that time, you already have your I-130 approved. So at that point, you're going to have a legal entry, an approved I-130. And then you're going to go to the judge and be like, okay, I've got everything ready for my green card. All I need is for you to close the dang deportation order. You've got a much stronger case than if you go right now without a legal entry, without an approved I-130. So yes, you can travel. Girl, do it. You have to travel. You already have half the battle won. Didi, and I know we're not allowed to DM, but just for this case, it's totally fine. DM me and remind me to to add you to the group, okay? To the group of people who are, we're keeping track of our cases, see what people are doing. Some people are getting approved, doing things that are not necessarily what lawyers tell us to do. So we are just keeping track of what everybody's doing and helping ourselves overcome this big hurdle, which is a deportation order. And if we have to sue to get there, we're ready to do it. Okay, so please join the group. Didi, my next trip is January 14th. That's when it's scheduled. There's a tiny possibility I may travel before then, somewhere else. But probably not, just because it's the end of the year and flights are full and yada, yada, yada. Daisy, do you also have a deportation order? You need to have a deportation order at least to be added to that group, and preferably a sponsor too. Not that we're not trying to exclude anybody. We don't want just a large group of people. The purpose of this group is to actually accomplish something, and in order to do that, we have to have people with similar circumstances, if that makes sense, because you have to be willing to potentially sue the government with us, first of all. If you're not willing to do that, then there's no point in joining the group. So if you are willing, DM me, let me know. Any other questions, guys? We have 3 minutes before 9 p.m. I'm about to log off, but today has been great. Thank you for the questions. Make sure that I didn't miss anything. Done. The whole topic. I just started talking about the deportation order the last like 5 minutes. I was just saying that I'm currently in a group of people from this group and from other groups who have deportation orders. I think all of us, if not most of us, if not all of us, have traveled on AP already, and we are in the process of adjusting status, but we still have that hurdle in the way, which is the removal order. So if you are in the same situation and you want to join our group, the purpose of the group is to get the government to agree to reopen our cases, because they are just simply ignoring our requests or they're rejecting them altogether. So we're trying to join forces to force their hand. And if that doesn't work, we are ready to sue. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, DM me and I'll add you to the group. Is attending a soccer coach training a reason for an AP? Are you a coach now? What is the purpose of the training? We need a little bit more information. Uh, how is it going to help you, basically? Devora, send me the link. Please DM me because after I get off here, I'm probably not going to remember your entire name. Just DM me asking me to add you to the group and I'll do it, okay? Okay, guys, it's 9 p.m. I hope that answers your questions, Adrian. Your question. Again, if anybody wants to be added to the group of people with deportation orders who are ready to sue the government to have our cases reopened and terminated, please DM me, letting me know you're interested, and I'll add you to the group. If nothing else, thank you all for attending. It's been great tonight. Thank you for the questions and for the interactions. And I look forward to doing this again. Sorry there wasn't much notice, but if you missed the live, you're going to be able to watch the recording. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Those of you on the West Coast, you have a little bit more time. So enjoy your Sunday, and I'll see you later. Bye.